I would like to bring your attention today to the NATO military aggression on Libya, which started 11 years ago on 19th of March 2011 and ended on 31st of October of the same year. The aftermath of the war and the real reasons behind destroying a country that was once one of the most stable and prosperous countries in the African continent. In February 2011, like in other Arabic countries that were hit by the so-called Arab Spring, protests erupted against Gaddafi and quickly, as in the case of Syria, evolved into an armed rebellion against Gaddafi by Islamist forces, which included the Muslim Brotherhood, the Al-Qaeda, and other Islamist forces. The Western governments were very quick to ask for UN Security Council meeting, accusing Gaddafi of using brutal force against unarmed protesters, like the case in Syria, the accusations against President Assad. On 17th of March 2011, Resolution 1973 was adopted by the UN Security Council, which formed the legal basis for military intervention in Libya in order to establish 1. An immediate ceasefire, and 2. To establish a no-fly zone in order to protect the civilians, as it was the case or the argument by the Western governments. However, NATO launched a campaign of bombing against Libya using Tomahawk missiles, fighter jets, and also imposed a blockade, both the no-fly zone and also a maritime blockade on the country, in addition to arming, training, and sending lots of ammunition to support the Islamist militants who later occupied big parts of the country, captured the leader of Libya, Gaddafi, in late 2011. They raped him and later they murdered him. Now, the Russians and the Chinese who abstained the UN Security Council resolution back then, they say that their Western partners betrayed them by bombing and destroying Libya when the initial goal was to only protect the civilians and establish a ceasefire and a no-fly zone. So this was one of the reasons why Russia and China vetoed a lot of UN Security Council resolutions submitted by Western governments regarding the Syrian war after 2011. Although the war was officially over in late October 2011, Libya has become another nest for terrorists threatening neighboring countries of Libya. The country is divided into 3 parts. Each part has its own government and military forces. And there are slave markets now in Libya for black Africans. And we barely see outrage and coverage for this outrageous, let's say, situation in Libya in the aftermath of the war. So in regarding to the black African Libyans, there are some mainstream media outlets who covered this, and they are basically selling black Africans to slave markets and some of them to human trafficking. And ironic enough, this has happened under the first black American president. Now, we listened to the arguments of the Western government, but what were the real reasons for this NATO military intervention in Libya and why the NATO countries, or some of them, destroyed Libya? In 2016, which means 5 years after the destruction of Libya, WikiLeaks released the emails of Hillary Clinton, which was the foreign minister back then, or the Secretary of State of the United States back then during the invasion of Libya. And these emails showed terrifying facts on the real reason, or the real reasons for NATO intervention, mostly were about gold and oil. Now, according to the International Monetary Fund, IMF, Libya's central bank under Gaddafi was 100% state-owned. And also the IMF said or estimated that the central bank, had nearly 144 tons of gold. 144 tons of gold. In this unclassified US Department emails to Hillary Clinton dated April 2nd, 2011, key Clinton aide Sidney Blumenthal confirmed that the intervention was to loot Libya's oil and gold. Gaddafi's government held 143 tons of gold and a similar amount in silver. During late March 2011, these stocks were moved to Sabha, taken from the vaults of the Libyan central bank in Tripoli. Blumenthal pointed out the purpose of Gaddafi's precious metal. This gold was accumulated prior to the current rebellion and was intended to be used to establish a pan-African currency based on the Libyan golden dinar. This plan was designed to provide the Francophone African countries with an alternative to the French franc. Blumenthal spells out the reason for NATO's attack and France's imperial plunder. French intelligence officers discovered this plan shortly after the current rebellion began, and this was one of the factors that influenced President Nicolas Sarkozy's decision to commit France to attack on Libya. There were 5 reasons for France's illegal war with NATO against Libya. Sarkozy's suit, according to Blumenthal: A desire to gain a greater share of Libyan oil production, B, increase French influence in North Africa, C, improve his internal situation in France, D, provide the French military with an opportunity to assert its position in the world, E, address the concern of his advisors over Gaddafi's long-term plans to supplant France as the dominant power in Francophone Africa. Now, since the United States and its allies say they want to persecute Putin and his generals for alleged crimes in Ukraine in front of the International Criminal Court, ICC, although the United States is not even a member of the ICC's Rome Statute, who will bring justice to the Libyans, we ask? And will the criminals who destroyed the country and looted its resources will be persecuted? And where did the gold of Libya go? I think these are very important questions for us to ask. And I think we will not, unfortunately, find answers, concrete answers for them. But until these criminals are brought to justice, I think it is very hypocritical for the United States and its allies to ask for the persecution of Putin and his generals for crimes or war crimes committed in Ukraine. So in order for us to create an international justice, we need to persecute the criminals who committed these crimes in Libya, in Yugoslavia, in Iraq, in Syria, in Somalia, in Sudan, and elsewhere around the world. And if that happens, I think it would be very just to bring Putin and his generals in front of ICC or any other court if they have committed also war crimes in Ukraine. This is my position regarding this issue. But what do you think? What is your opinion about this? Your opinion in my case is very valuable because we are learning together about this international politics and what is happening around the world. It's very important for me also to read. If you have any opposing opinions, please post it. Don't hesitate. I do not delete or hide any comments, although I receive sometimes even, let's say, not only critical comments, but also some people are smearing me or cursing me. I don't care. I don't delete anything. Please be, just my wish is that you be respectful and post your opinion, and let's discuss and see where the world is heading to. I've been your host, Kirak Almasyan of Syriana Analysis. If you like this video, please hit the subscribe button and also the like button, which really helps me with the algorithm of YouTube. And if you want to support an independent commentary work like I'm doing on Syriana Analysis, you can become a patron. Link in the description below, and see you next time.